One genre of games that for some reason I keep finding myself playing is roguelikes or roguelites. I do not care about this distinction all that much and will flip-flop between the two whenever I feel like it. Hope that clears some stuff up. Now, despite being a genre that lives or dies on your devotion to one game in particular, there's like 10,000 of them and I keep playing them. And whatever the best one is very much up to personal preference. Dead Cells has lightning fast, razor sharp combat. Risk of Rain 2 is most effective at making you feel like an unstoppable powerhouse that's been sent to destroy your enemy's earthly realm. The Binding of Isaac got that new update and I still haven't played it. And Hades is for people who didn't play any of the other games I just mentioned. But the best one to me, and a game that has been steadily climbing up my ranks on my favorite games of all time list, is Enter the Gungeon. And the cool thing is that a lot of other people agreed. Enter the Gungeon has sold a lot of copies. It's low priced, the fact it goes on sale a lot, and it's pretty much given away on every single subscription or free game program that companies can dream up. All of this leads to Enter the Gungeon probably being one of the most owned indie games of all time. I completely made up that statistic, but it sounds true, and you can make up anything on the internet. I will do a dedicated review of Enter the Gungeon when there is a special occasion of unspecificity. Now, what do you do when you are Tim Cook and you are making a new gaming subscription service for the iPhone? Well, if you were like him, obviously you would fund Dodgeroll Studios' new spin-off to Enter the Gungeon and have it be a launch title, then 6 months later it gets ported to PC and Switch, oops. Now, Exit the Gungeon was apparently going to be made with or without Apple's involvement. Apple simply funded development in exchange for it being on their service Apple Arcade, which the developers said was very relieving as they felt they could make the game they want without having to worry about the money side of things. So it's not like it was a complete cash grab. I'm not a psychopath, so I'm not going to be playing the original Apple Arcade version because that's just something I don't want to deal with. So I'll be playing the port on the Nintendo Switch, which was announced in an Indie Direct and released the same day, which was very nice. Now, the first thing that's gonna immediately make someone raise an eyebrow is that bullet hell plus touch controls sounds horrible, but Dodgeroll thankfully planned ahead. They said in the interview before the game released that it would support using a Bluetooth controller and that it was designed for it, which just goes to show one of the main problems of phone games, or if I have to bring a controller everywhere, then what's the point of it being on a phone? Might as well just bring an actual handheld system then. Getting into the game, the story is that since all the Gungeoneers killed the past so many times it caused a time paradox and the Gungeon is going to explode. Instead of going down, you gotta use the elevator set up by the Tinker. You get a tutorial and things are obviously different from Enter. Instead of a top-down dungeon crawler, it's a side-scrolling platformer. This change is a little weird to get used to, but it's fine enough. Shooting is the same, blanks are the same, and when you're in the air, you're invincible because it's an ascending dodge roll. When you start a run proper, you get introduced to the combo mechanic and the randomized guns. Your gun randomly switches, meaning you have to change your strategy on the dial. Now, this seems like an okay idea, but then the combo system. The combo system goes up the more damage you deal to enemies. The higher the combo, supposedly the higher quality of guns you get, except a lot of times it doesn't feel like it. When this game first came out, the balancing was a mess, with weapons like the pea shooter, the blunderbuss, and the Kolb constantly being in the pool of options. When you have a relatively high combo and still get a joke weapon, that feels unfair. They did update the game to help with balancing and to also add arsenal mode, which lets you get guns from chests that don't randomly switch. Since starting guns are pretty much worthless this time, classes are handled differently. Each class has a unique route which they'll go through different floor layouts on their ascent upwards. All have the same starting and ending floor, but the middle three are all different. Some share a couple layouts, but it's still different. The characters still have other unique abilities, like the Hunter has the dog, Convict has the enraging photo, Pilot has lower shot prices, but these power-ups effects feel a lot more minimal than in Enter. I like how the Cultist is handled. There's no co-op mode, so instead they made it so the Cultist guns change extremely fast. Like, it's a miracle if you keep a gun for more than 5 seconds. Complete chaos. Like my wife. However, when you beat a character's route, you can play through that route with any other character. Each floor is more like a survival wave than the kill all enemies structure in Enter. You fight for just above a minute, then you go to the mid-floor shop and bonus room area, you fight for another minute, boss, back to the same shop and bonus room area, next floor. Guns and items in the shop you unlock through credits like in Enter where they get added to the rotation. The bonus rooms can just be small rooms with enemies in them where you can or cannot get a chest, or they can have a friendly character who will do their thing. The most exciting ones are the minigames, but they were definitely designed with a touchscreen in mind. Is Pachinko one with the helmet guy is okay. The golf course with the Gunsling King and Man Cervantes is a fun idea, and I like the personality each gives off of this time Man Cervantes taking over the king, but this Angry Birds clone of Winchester is ew! You can't see what you're aiming at. The camera's so zoomed in and you can't control the camera when lining up a shot. It's so annoying to deal with. Tim Cook is a fraud. The side characters here have a lot more personality. They also play around with the text boxes a lot more with different text speeds, fonts, animations, different colors. It's nice and looks great. My favorite is probably the drunken fish guy setting up a bar and you getting to name it. Fits nicely for him even though it's bittersweet. Wait, there's a Bloodborne costume in this game? Game of the year? Combat is, well, the 2D view is good for being on a phone and feels pretty good when you're on a controller, but it's a lot easier to lose sight of your character. In Enter, the camera is usually pretty easy to keep track of, but here it can be pretty common to be completely lost and get hit multiple times. These stages are so good and I need them modded into Rivals of Aether as Smash Custom Stages stat. I want to spike someone down this hole. Tell me you don't want to. The minecart level where you can jump on the railings and can immediately jump back to save yourself, the one where you gotta dodge all these bombs, the tower climb level, the one with the worm, the one with a volley of arrows from different directions, you gotta take cover for it. It's so chaotic. Like my husband. But what kills a lot of the game for me is that the performance is kinda shit on Switch. Frame rate can just freeze for a split second at seemingly random. It feels like it has to take a hit during a boss fight because the game just decided to freeze. This is also a problem in Enter, especially on consoles, but it's never this bad. It even takes a hit during the credits. How? The Switch can absolutely handle this game. Discounting AAA games for a second, Hades runs perfectly on Switch despite also being a roguelite from an indie team, and that game is considerably more graphically intensive. Plus, they never fixed this. I'm playing on the latest patch, and I doubt they're gonna update this game anymore. The bosses are fun though. A lot of them are spins on old bosses, two bosses mashed together or completely new. Amoconda is so much easier this time. Uselor, a really tough boss, getting paired with Gorgon, a relatively easy boss, is a fun idea. This buff bullet fight is insane. And the new dragon is still a really challenging fight, but it's not as hard as Enter still. Although I think I might just be a bit too good at roguelites now. I thought Hades was kinda easy. It took me about 18 attempts to beat. The lower difficulty works for Hades because there's a lot more focus on story and its overall structure, but I don't know, I still didn't die in Asphodel at all until I already fought the final boss. Bone Hydra is easy as fuck. I don't know what anyone else is talking about. Just use the bow and you win. Okay, yeah, back on track. Hades could be a different video in itself. But they did add in one last hidden boss in the game's last update, so it might as well at least try that. Pretty simple to do, just buy the worm in the final shop for 200 shells and head left instead of right after beating the dragon, hop on the jet ski and boom, the Galactopus. Oh, this one's a phase 2, sweet. First try. Okay, well, to be fair, that was an absolutely baller run with bullet and health upgrades, but, maybe a bit anticlimactic. Not even a different ending, too, huh? Just get placed back in the same area with no other choice but to get on the ship and the same cutscene plays. Oh yeah, all the characters have the same ending, except the cultist. Poor dude gets left behind. No! Well, that's pretty much Exit the Gungeon, and overall, it's fine. If you view it as a sequel to Enter the Gungeon, it's a disappointment, but if you view it as a sort of weird spin-off, it's perfectly fine. Got a lot of great qualities and is a nice little spin on Gungeon with its characters, items, and enemies. It's a nice supplemental game, but if you have to pick between it and the original, get Enter. Pretty clear that at least some of its aspects were burdened by the fact that it had to be made with touchscreen in mind, but it's fine. It's a lot like those direct-to-DVD sequels of random Disney movies. They have some level of care and polish, but no matter what, it's held back by the fact that it's not gonna have the same budget or time to match the original. In the end, being more brought up just to be like, whoa, did you know this existed? Isn't that weird? And that's pretty much the end of Gungeon. There's still that light gun arcade game that got delayed due to COVID-19, but after that, Gungeon is finished. And I'm glad for it. I hope that Dodge Roll can continue to make another game with the same level of quality and love that Enter the Gungeon has, but with a new IP. I would like a proper Gungeon 2 with the same gameplay as Enter, but I hope they make a new IP. They definitely have the talent to make more than just one series. Oh, and for everyone who voted for Fire Emblem Warriors on the poll, yeah, that video is canceled. That shit was going nowhere. See ya.